online in the last little while just to help with some of the context for questions. So very recently I've been working on these two projects at the top here. So a digital shoebox for kids in foster care in Queensland. So it was pulled onto this project very last minute and into a very agile world, and so ethics became a real challenge for me in that I am very passionate about fulfilling our ethical responsibilities in the research that we do, and particularly when we're working with really vulnerable people. And so with the Kickbox project, so Kickbox being the Kids in Care box, so the problem space we were working around is recognising that kids in care, when they're moving from place to place, don't have somebody to help them keep all of their important documents and memorabilia in one place. So they're often moving to new placements very quickly with very little notice, and even if they do have copies of their records and things, they often get left behind. And so this project started out being around helping young people to have digital copies of their important documents and be able to have those in a safe and secure space that they could access. But we had this amazing opportunity to run co-design sessions with young people, and so Kickbox as an app became so much more. It became around being a communication tool between young people and their child safety officers. So big problems around young people at the moment actually often not even knowing who their child safety officer is and not having any form of direct communication with them, and telling us that they hate using the telephone, answering calls, making calls, and particularly if they're at school or something, kind of the stigma attached with being a kid in care and having the government call them while they're at school. And so this app built in a chat function that enabled them to have direct chat capabilities with their child safety officers. It also helps them with some positive goal planning and creating vision boards and enabling that through the app. And the young people designed this app. So through iterative co-design sessions, we had them drawing designs up for each other and creating apps and testing them out with each other. And it has been hugely successful, and an absolute privilege to work with a pretty inspiring group of young people who've been through a lot. Some of the challenges, however, were around being able to slow down enough to be able to run these workshops so that we could create safe space. Really important with young people, particularly with trauma backgrounds, to be able to create safe space and build trust between me and them. We had a lot of challenges in managing who would come along to the workshops. So basically everybody at the department wanted to come along, and then of course you get kids shutting down very quickly as soon as you have a room full of authorities. So being able to build that trust in the department as well, and to be able to... so the way that we managed that was to bring on one of the child safety officers as a co-facilitator, and I worked with her to be very participative in the sessions. And so the agile process, and I keep seeing this coming up around how do we do research in agile spaces, and getting that head start becomes increasingly important in these more vulnerable spaces. We essentially conducted some contextual research in the child safety centres to get a sense of how the centres operated before we ran the co-design sessions, and we ran co-design sessions both with young people, groups of young people, as well as with staff from, in separate workshops, staff from the safety centres and from head office, so that we were running iterative activities around building on the designs and ensuring that what was being designed by the young people could be supported. And interestingly, the red tape now is starting to show itself despite those processes. So we've been very fortunate in being able to have a really rigorous pilot process and evaluation workshops that have provided a lot of really contradictory feedback to head office. And when I say contradictory, it's contradictory because I sat in meetings at head office and heard people who are the big decision makers deciding that we probably won't go ahead with this app now because we're instilling a lot of change in the way that practice is going on in the department. It's too much change for everyone all at once. We went out into the field and what we heard was, this is the most innovative thing we've ever done, please don't stop. And we're more engaged with young people than we've ever been. And again, young people also saying, I'm communicating and getting action on things that I've never been heard around before. And some of the other amazing outcomes out of the workshops, and you guys talked about this before, is that there's a whole lot goes on that isn't just about what we're solving, and so being able to manage some of the harrowing stories that come in and being able to have the time to debrief and get personal support around that. As well as being able to really hear the young people and see what a big difference that really makes, even just in participating in the workshops. So I get emotional even talking about it now. But we did, some of the success that I saw around that was having young people come up to me afterwards and ask for advice about particular things going on in their lives, and some of it very stuff that I couldn't help them with, or help them with directly, but could kind of give a little bit of feedback and direct them to people that could help them. And so you kind of go into that sort of space with a pretty big care factor, then you're going to come away with needing some kind of support and debriefing around those things. But highly recommend, if you're called to work in those spaces and that's what you're drawn to do it, because it really is soul-enriching work, if nothing else. And along similar lines, I've also been working with the University of Western Sydney Young and Well Research Centre on a project around enabling young people experiencing homelessness to help to solve some of the problems with digital connectedness. So a researcher at the university there did some research that showed that young people prioritise having a digital device, so a mobile phone, particularly a smartphone or a tablet, even while they're homeless, and they have various methods of achieving that, but being able to keep data to the phone, keep themselves safe and the device safe while they've got it, because even having a device can put their safety at risk on the streets, and being able to keep it charged and functional. And so we were able to run some workshops with young people who are or have experienced homelessness. There was a whole lot of ethics process went on through the university around enabling that. So a whole ethics committee at the university that needs to approve the whole workshop process. It meant that we were able to get approval to film some of the sessions and photograph the sessions, but had to be very careful in ensuring that none of the materials would identify any of the participants, and to ensure that there was full informed consent around what would be done with all of the data. Also ensuring that no names or identities were aligned with any of the data. But we were also then able to take the ideas out of that workshop into a follow-up workshop with stakeholders from corporate, government and not-for-profits to essentially build on the ideas and to come up with some implementation planning and some funding. So other than that, a couple of health projects, so working with the Consumer Health Forum of Australia around working with people with chronic illnesses to understand the journeys of their experiences. Again, a lot of sensitivity required in that sort of research. And likewise with heart implant patients, so ensuring that we're taking care of their health with the way that we set up the testing in the first instance. So I'll leave it at that.